And then we're at the 8th verse. Luke 4 and 8. And it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. You can read about that in Deuteronomy the 10th chapter and the 20th verse, as far as for serving the Most High and not worshiping. You can also read Exodus the 20th chapter, which we do in the prayers. Exodus 20 and 4 to 5, Deuteronomy 10. And 20.
I'm sorry, what was that again, brother?
That was Exodus 20, 4 and 5. And Deuteronomy, the 10th chapter and the 20th verse. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 10 and 20. It says, Thou shalt fear the Lord thy power, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave and swear by his name. Right? So we're only supposed to serve and worship the Most High and swear by his name, not by anything else, not by Satan or any man or whatever the case may be. So the Most High wants us to make sure that when we come through temptations, there's going to be something that's going to steer us away from him. And when we don't follow his will, now we're serving or following or worshiping Satan. It could be in the figure of your mother. It could be in the figure of your doctor, your co-worker, whatever, your child. Once you do something that some person wants you to do against the will of the Most High, now you are not serving the Most High, you're serving Satan. Because anything that is not of God, of righteousness, is of Satan, is of the devil. All right? So you can name it in all these other different categories, but ultimately, it's the devil.
Case closed.
Yes, it's the devil.
That's good.
So now the 9th verse.
So Mark, there's no, well, maybe it could be, no, maybe, well, it just might, well, maybe it's something. No, it's the devil.
It's the devil.
Okay.
Ain't no rice devil. Right,
right, because when you see what we just read, it's interesting in the storyline. I won't get too deep into it or too much into it right now, but there's scriptures that talk about seeing the Most High face to face. Right, we're not talking about physically face to face, because the law tells you that no man can see the Most High and live. Right, so this is talking about a spiritual connection. The same way where two people have an understanding, we do what? It's like, yeah, we right here. We eye to eye. We see each other. We understand where we coming from. We're unified. Right? So here it's like, when you read what we just read here, where Yahushua told Satan to get behind me, when he told the same thing to Peter, when Peter had Satan on him, get thee behind me, is because now there was something in his spiritual vicinity where he's now looking at Satan and following what Satan wants to do, instead of keeping an direct eye-to-eye spiritual contact with the Most High. Right? So I kind of looked at that, get thee behind me, put that to the back of me instead of keeping it in the front. What's supposed to be in the front? The Most High. That eye-to-eye connection. That unity is supposed to be there. So when we see this here, it's always something that's keeping us or blocking us or standing in the way of what we're supposed to be doing for the Most High and Yahushua. All right? So just always keep that in mind. There's always going to be a force that's going to try to jump in and step in and take you off course or take you off track. But we should always make sure that whatever that is, if it's not of the Most High, we use the Bible to measure it and get that out of here, man. I ain't dealing with that. Right? Some book, some person, some job, whatever, if it stands in the way, get that out of here.
Hit the road check.
Right.
You come back no more.
And, another thing is, you might laugh at it, but it's not a joke when it comes to temptation. And those of us who, especially to those of us who know, the statutes and commandments of the Most High. Right. So Satan is going to come at us in various different ways. And if you're not careful and see how it's gonna come, and you take it for granted, there you are, you're wrong, and you fall into that temptation because the sin is already in us. You know, in the sin that's in us, the bait that's gonna come along with it is gonna determine whether or not we're gonna fall right into that temptation. Because the sin is already in us, and it's just like a fish. You know, when you fishing, the fish is in the sea, right? And then you throw that bait, but the fish already have that desire to go after what's in the bait. So this is the plight of man. So as soon as you have the desire already, they become manifest. It's kind of like also when you have it's always attached with like you were saying before, tonight. It's always attached with the end result. What can you benefit? What profit can I get from this? So once you start looking at the profit instead of the bigger picture of what you into in your situation, that's when you're done. And that profit that you're gonna get is gonna be temporary. Right. Just like Judas, he was looking at the money, the 30 pieces of silver, but he's not looking at you're gonna betray the savior of Israel. So he wasn't looking at the picture. He was looking at just the end result of the 30 pieces of silver. The temporary, illusion that he will get from that 30 pieces of silver. Then after he did that, he comes to the realization that 30 pieces of silver didn't really matter anymore. Right. Because the illusion that he was getting from that before he get that 30 pieces of silver was great. But after he done it, right, it was over.
Right. That's what happens with people in Hollywood and those who are well off. Fame and actors and ball players and everything. They get all of this wealth, and they figure that money is going to bring them happiness and peace of mind, right? Because when you don't have, it's like, okay, I'm working for what? Oh, I'm working to get money so that I can be well off. So I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about this. But then when they get that, guess what? They're in the same situation, right? They get all the money and they find out that this ain't it, So you look at them on TV and you say, well, how could he be strung out on drugs? He's no different from the person that's down the block strung out on drugs.
Right.
He's strung out on drugs with no money. He's strung out on drugs with money. So it ain't the money, it's something else.
Right, it's something else. Because it's like whatever situation you are individually, you get tempted on your level.
Right.
Whatever situation you have. You could, like you said, you could have money or without money. Whatever situation you have, you get tested on that level. And your situation is no different than the next person, but you get tested on your level.
Right. Nabiyad and Yalkin.
Yeah, and it's funny when you talk about the temptation as far as doing the drugs and you have money. There's a scripture in Ecclesiastes that goes into that where it talks about the more men have, the more they become inflamed anytime they get angry. You know what I mean? Or they do something. So it's like you got money and you got issues with your flesh. Now you got all the resources to wild out and go all out. That's why you hear about so many of these rock stars and movie stars ODing, too many drugs, too much partying, just debauchery. Ends up being a death because while they got means to do more as opposed to a poor man who's got those same itches in the flesh, but now they don't have that much money to their name to get alcohol or get drugs. So it's like they're kind of protected by their by their poverty from themselves. Versus someone who, like I said, has an issue with their flesh but has the money to buy those things to abuse their flesh. So it's kind of funny how that works out.
Nah, I was thinking these were like what Dave's looking at, like offering what, like what,
$50 million.
Yeah, offering that money.
Some people
you realize a lot of stuff is gonna come with that money.
Right.
And he had turned it down.
Right. Yeah, they wanted to when he had his show, Chappelle show, to re-up, they wanted to give him $50 million, but he realized that a lot of control and change was gonna come with that $50 million, and he didn't want to relinquish that. He wanted to give up himself to those who didn't have his vision. So he said, you know what, I'll turn it away. And everybody else looked at him like he was a fool. And they cast him as he was some idiot because he didn't want to take the money. Oh, he's going crazy. Because in society's eyes, you got to be crazy to turn down $50 million, right? But he was like, nah, listen, I understand what comes with that. And I didn't want to give up my soul to that in order to just have some money. Right, so he even, I remember the episode, you could probably even look at it on YouTube, he even went on Oprah and did an interview, and he was like, why is it that we always gotta play certain roles and do certain things for the media, for movies. Like, they have all of our prominent black men always play, what is it? The characters of a woman.
Transvestite, cross-dresser.
Cross-dressers.
Yes.
Right? He's like, why? Everybody got to be a cross-dresser, right? You know, from your Eddies to your Martins to your Jamie Foxx, everyone has played this. He's like, why?
Ving Rhames, why?
Yeah, Ving Rhames, Wesley Snipes. You know, why everybody got to do that? Why we have to sell ourselves out? He's like, I didn't want to do it. And he tried to force it on him. He was like, no, I don't want to do it. And that's when he began to understand the control and the selling of what you try to hold on to, your values and your morals, that you have to give that up in order to excel and to succeed. Right. So he said, nah, I'm backing away. You keep your money, right? So he lost himself. He lost himself in society's eyes. Because everybody had to say, yeah, he got to be crazy. Right. They said, oh, he's in Africa. Oh, yeah, he's wilding out. He don't got no sense. It's like, dang, you know. But that's what comes with losing yourself, staying true to yourself, or trying to stay true to yourself outside of society.
He couldn't handle the fame.
Right.
I say on top of that, he really didn't want to go through that transition or that ritual that you got to go through, that unisex spirit of being the masculine, dressing up as the feminine, or the feminine becoming the masculine. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot that he didn't want to go through because they were saying, like, I remember that you were saying about that on the Oprah show. He was like, all the greats did it. Richard Pryor did it. Because if you seen that movie Toy, he was dressed up in a maid's outfit and all that. Mm-hmm. And they wanted him to go that same route. And he was like, nah, I'm not doing it. And you know, Oprah, her being down with the program, she was looking at him a certain kind of way. And it was kind of crazy. And the way when you deny that, he started to make you look like you're crazy. Same way with Lauryn Hill. Once hip hop started to go into like having their women like rapping about how good they look, how big their behinds were, she backed away like, nah, I'm gonna do this one album and I ain't gonna try to set myself up or hold myself out. They made it seem like something was wrong with her.
Right. Mm-hmm. Excellent point. So, y'all with Kanan? No? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got the scripture I was talking about as far as the more you have sometimes it can mean your destruction. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 28 and verse 10.
Chapter 28.
Ecclesiasticus 28:10.
28:10.
Come. Ecclesiasticus chapter 28 and verse 10. 100-man code. It reads, as the matter of fire is, so it burneth, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth. And the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. Right? So I'm just using this as far as just temperance in general. Here is focusing on anger in particular, but now we know temperance covers a wide range of things. It may not be anger. It may be, lust for power, lust for women, lust for food. Right? It could be a number of things. But now here it's going into anger, but it works the same way, whatever type of temptation it is, as far as the lust of the flesh. But now when it says a man's strength, that's going into his wealth or his forces or his riches. It says, as their I'll read it again. And according to his riches, his anger riseth, and the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. I always use the story, a lot of us are familiar with the story about Troy, about what happened there, to where you had one guy take another guy's wife, and a whole war started over that because the guy's wife who was taken, he just happened to be the head of an army, leader of a country. So now you got, hundreds, thousands of men dying just over, a situation between two men and a woman. And it's saying, is it worth it? All of Troy being attacked, or all of Sparta going to Troy to try to attack the Trojans? That's just one small scenario versus if this is two common folk. They're fighting over a girl, it might be over in 5 to 10 minutes and they shoot them or beat them up and then that's it. Versus someone who's wealthy, who same issue happens. They get mad, they can cause a lot more damage. And you see a lot of that happening too in today's time with these financial scandals as far as these, what happened with the banks. I'm sorry, not with the banks, but with the mortgage crisis. It happened late in around 2008, around that time period. We had a lot of personal issues between a lot of those guys. Like Richard Ford of the Lehman Brothers, along with Hank Paulson. certain personal things that go back in time where they're letting that carry